And we're live. Welcome to Red Balloon Films and our first. It was a live stream, but it's a recording that you're now watching. I am John, one of the co-creators of Red Balloon Films and the cartoons that it will have: The Crew, Little Bastards, Tombstone, Tales of Terror, and many more if we ever get them done. Joining me is my cousin and cohort Deco, who is one of the co-creators and writers of uh, The Crew and Little Bastards and all the shows and episodes that we're going to see. Just repositioning his head here, so now he's in the middle of the screen again.
I'm here.
Deco, how's it going?
Yeah, good. You alright?
Yeah, good. So, what myself and Deco do every Friday, we'll have a 15-minute video which will be behind the scenes, and it's about us talking about the oncoming episode, maybe future episodes or ideas, how things came to be. We just drink a couple of beers, we have a chat, and if you are on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, you send us a message, you send us a tweet, we will answer any questions that you have sent in on this behind the scenes. So today's video, there you go. I was just going to talk about Red Balloon Films, how it started, what we did, or the idea itself. I remember, like, during COVID. Now, I've always been into art. Deco's always been into drawing. I got into 3D animation really later in life when I was about 30. I got into 3D animation, which is really difficult to create anything because it takes so long. So I wanted to try and create something in 2D, and I remember during COVID, me and Deco and a few friends did what I think everybody did. We just went on Zoom calls and had a drink, and it was actually awesome. And I was like, why have we not always been doing this?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a weird thing, wasn't it? Because like we would chat on the phone a lot, like that was what we would do. But I'd only see people back home when I visit back home, and that was pretty much it. And then we started doing the video calls, and then it was like, why weren't we always just every now and then doing like video calls to talk to each other? Because it just seems like it was always there. It was a tool you could use.
Yeah.
And
And to give some context, Deco's in York, in the UK, and I'm in Ireland. So Deco used to live in Ireland for most of his life until he went to York.
Yeah.
So that's why we were saying, we did the Zoom call. And it's like, oh my god, how have we not been doing this the whole time? Because normally we're just emailing each other, or on Facebook, or we're on the phone to each other, but we never
just
had
commenting on stuff.
never had like these face-to-face conversations until COVID hit. And I mean, beyond the Xbox, playing Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty or Battlefield, we definitely did all that stuff, and that was amazing. But again, we didn't do the Zoom calls until COVID hit, and that was a bit of an eye opener. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So I think that's when you come to like, obviously you come to the idea of doing the series or whatever, but the idea of once a week doing the Friday calls, doing like a video call, and we were like, that is actually a really good idea because how have we not been doing that the whole time?
And it was really cool, like, it was like, right, we can have a drinks on a Friday. It's a good excuse. Our other halves won't care, but you get a few drinks, you get to have a laugh, and then we were like, okay, well, what we do? We talked about, well, I wanted to make a cartoon, right? So I've got, like, the software, the equipment, and over the last kind of 10 years, the know-how of what it takes to make a cartoon. So, writing the script, coming up with the idea, creating the assets, which we use Photoshop for. So I'll create all the assets, do all the drawings, create all the assets, and then bring them into After Effects. And then, okay, you need to use After Effects to animate it, GarageBand to create the dialogue using nothing more than the Blue Yeti microphone for the dialogue. Piecing it all together, and creating this animation that could be like 20 seconds long, a minute long. And we thought, what do we do? And it was actually like, I was watching loads of different things, watching loads of YouTube videos, and one of the biggest inspirations was South Park, which we grew up on. And I watched I think it's a South Park documentary episode in 6 days or 7 days to make an episode, and it shows you the entire process of them making an episode of South Park in a week. And they've got a whole team behind them. But I was like, this is incredible. This is such an inspiration. I was like, I want to do that. And me and that was 2 years ago, and we still haven't got our episode out yet.
Yeah.
So that
So
shows you how
6
long it
days, 7
takes. So
days is a what's a
yeah,
dream?
they're a well-oiled machine, and there's a lot of them. But
Yeah.
it took a while to create the assets. But while we were doing that, we were formulating the idea. What do we want to make a show about? And I was watching a YouTube video, and I think it was Ricky Gervais or something like that was talking about when he first started, and he said, and had a quote saying something like, "Write what you know."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I need to write a script. So I wrote a lot of like little short films and stuff like that. So I was like, right, I need to write a script, but write what you know. And I was like, well, I've worked in offices like since I was like 20, and in offices like there was loads of stuff. I remember one time in the office I dressed up as Superman, and came into the office dressed as Superman, and everybody thought that was really good. Loads of crazy stuff that happened in the offices, but
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais already made The Office. And the US Office is one of the best things I've ever seen on TV. And actually, the US Office is what inspired me to make anything. Because I was sitting there watching it, and I watched like all 9 seasons or however many there is, and I watched them in about, I think, 3 weeks or 2 weeks. And it really inspired me to want to just create something, because The Office is so, I know it's difficult, but it's so basic. Like, as far as a studio is concerned, it's one room, it's a few handheld cameras. Obviously, they've got booms and mics and lighting, and it's a proper setup, but it's boils down to just the writing and the actors. Like, it's so good. And I was like, I can't do that well, but I'd like to do something. But, they already made The Office. And I was like, well, what else do I know? And I was like, actually, as far as work is concerned, me and Deco worked in McDonald's. Hence the hat. And we have loads of crazy stories from things that happened in McDonald's. Like, nuts. It really is insane.
We did about 4 years all told, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, we were both McDonald's Square for like 2 years in Tallaght, in Dublin in Ireland, and in Tallaght. Other than working in other stores here and there in City Centre, Grafton Street, Stephen's Green, Bellegarde, Nutgrove, training people in, we then went to Ashley for over a year, about a year and a half in Ashley after we left the Square McDonald's.
Yeah. Good times, enough times to have like a lot of stories, which is what we're putting together now, getting the episodes in. So it is yielding quite a few ideas.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. So like working at McDonald's, I was like, there was so many good stories that we had. So what I did was then I reached out. To like, I got a Facebook group going, or a messenger group going with ex-employees, right? Because the thing is, when we worked at McDonald's, right? So we're both 40 essentially. Deco's 40 now. I'm 40 in a few weeks. So we worked at McDonald's back in 1998 was when we started, right? And all of our best friends, and I'll name them, right? Philly, Dwayne, Steo, right? Norman, Ian, right? Now a couple of them we met before McDonald's, but most of them we met in McDonald's, right? All their wives are people they went out with from McDonald's, right? So Norman met his wife at McDonald's, Philly met his wife at McDonald's, Ian met the mother of his children and the mother of his other children and wife in McDonald's, because they're two separate people. Rory met his wife in McDonald's. There was so many, like 4 or 5 marriages that came from that group of friends who got their first jobs, and then kids. And it was because of that we were like, okay, there's so many stories here. Let's create a cartoon about our first job at McDonald's in the 90s, in like 1998. And I thought that could be a really good background. And we just create like 10-minute episodes, which I've kind of winded down to about 7 minutes now, because there's so much lip sync nonsense in the animation. It's really, really tough. But that's what we settled on. We settled on McDonald's.
Get perspective from other people, because we remember our own exploits, memories, whatever we did. But when you made the message group and messaged people that we haven't spoken to for some time, but we've got them on Facebook, and they started saying, "Oh, remember this, and we did this," and we're like, there's actually stuff that went on. Obviously, beyond, we're not like, we're our own main characters in this, because we are the main characters like that we're living, but they're their own main characters. We were their side characters. So it's good to get their perspective.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I looked at this like, okay, like Scrubs, you got JD and Turk, right? You got Chandler and Joey, all that. But even though the episodes themselves, we don't use our real names, right? The main characters are Josh and Leo, but all the other characters are just as important. And it is generally told from Josh and Leo's perspective because that was mine and Deco's perspective. But we wanted to get the stories from other people. What did they experience? Because when I spoke to one person we worked with who was a manager, Joan, she told me a story about how she started. And then I said to her, I was like, I started there in very much the same way. It was like really abrupt. It was like somebody coming out and like one of her friends coming out and saying, "Do you want a job? We need you. We're short staffed. Get in here and start work." And she was like just walking through a shopping center. It was insane.
Yeah.
And then I was in the same boat. I was walking through the shopping center, and my friend just grabbed me and was like, "Do you want a job?" And I was like, "No, I don't. Why do I want to work at McDonald's?" I was like, I get enough like slagging at home. I don't need to go to school then and be a McDonald's employee and get even more bullied.
Yeah.
And then I saw a girl who worked in there who was like just stunning, and I was like, oh my god, get me an application form. I'm starting straight away. And Joan was in the same boat. She started like on the day she was asked to work there. She was then working, and it was her birthday, so that made me think that would make a great episode. Just Josh, the character, starting his first job, and then him dragging Leo in, and them two, becoming McDonald's employees for the first time.
Which is like obviously mine is a complete exaggeration on how, because like mine was, I was working in that cleaning company doing about 7 days a week after, so 5 after school and then weekends, and then you and Phil were just like, just here's an application form, just fill this in, I'll put it into the manager and you'll have a job in no time. And then I was in a job doing a couple days a week for the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And I should again, but again, it was like the other people's ideas of what McDonald's was like. Like people were like, oh, like I was working in a cleaning company, cleaning a shopping center after hours, like cleaning ramps and fountains or whatever. And they're like, oh, they'll have you like cleaning the grease off a wall. I'm looking around like
that's what I'm doing now.
Already. That can't be worse than this.
Hold on. So you're saying don't take McDonald's jobs because they'll have me cleaning stuff when my entire job right now is cleaning.
Yeah. And it's 5 days a week, and it got compressed down to like just weekends for more money. Like how I was like, bargain.
I know, it was savage. Like So that's what we've done. The first series that we're creating for Red Balloon Films is going to be a series called The Crew. Now, I'm going to bring up an image of The Crew right now. This is the front of McDonald's and how it looked back in 1998, and this is The Crew. So from left to right, we have the store manager whose name is Antoinette, but we're calling Ursula. We have Joan, the manager. We have myself, John, but the character's name is Josh. We have Deco, whose character's name is Leo. And then we have the character names. We have Ali. We have my brother Paddy is next in line. The manager Sean. We have Philly, whose name is going to be Billy. I know, we worked really hard on that. We have Pimu, Mandy, Rory, Dwayne, Grace, Shane, Amy, and Norman. And they're not all the characters we have, but they're all the characters that were created initially for episode 1 in The Crew. So this is the cast, essentially, of The Crew. And I'll be doing the voicing, and I'm lucky enough that my wife decided that she would help me out doing the voices of the female characters. Neither of us are voice actors, so, you can't hold that against us. But that is The Crew.
But to be honest, she actually is very good.
Yeah, it's better than me. Yeah. But that's The Crew, and it took so long, and it's taken 2 years to get to where we are now. But I mean, Deco, those 2 years we spent coming up with the idea, formulating how it would look, designing the characters, redesigning the characters,
writing episodes, rewriting episodes.
Yeah, myself and Deco on Fridays we go through the episodes, we write the episodes. We've got a 13 episode season planned out, but the backgrounds, we drew I got the backgrounds all drawn, but then I learned how to draw in perspective properly, so I redid all the backgrounds, and that's all it was. It was doing stuff and then redoing it better, so that it would look a lot better. And now we have this cast in this setting to make the cartoon, and The Crew as well. I like I said, the big inspiration we wanted to create something was The Office.
Yeah.
and I wanted to come up with a name that was as catchy and simple as The Office, but I didn't know what to call this. So I was talking to Declan on the phone, and I think I was going to the shop. So normally what I'll do is I'll be walking the dog, or I'll be going to the shop, and I'll be just coming up with ideas in my head, thinking about episodes, possible episodes, different character interactions, things I want to do. And I remember ringing Deco, and I was talking to Deco, I was like, what's the name going to be? And I can't remember what ideas I had, but I think I was calling it something like, I think I was using the name McDonald's. Like I think I was like, is it like we call it fast food?
You wanted like mix something as well, like like to have the MC part.
Yeah, like McBurger.
And I think you were almost pretty much gonna go with like McCrew, or like that was where like you were getting close to the name we actually landed on, but it was like you wanted to mix something to try and get away with like using McDonald's bit.
Yeah, but I think it was you who actually said.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I said something about like just having it be about like the crew. And I think we just both landed on just saying like, well, yeah, the crew works fine.
Yeah. No, I think when you said, I think like you said like, what about their crew? And I was like, oh my god, that's perfect because McDonald's employees are called crew members, and I was like, that's fantastic. And I was also one thing was like I came up and I saw a video on YouTube of these guys. He brought his camera into work and he was just going around the back area and the tail area. And they were chit-chatting, and it was in like the I think it was in the early 2000s. Or no, I think it might actually be in the early 90s, before our time.
90s, I'm sure he had like a proper camera in
it was before our time. But the thing was, when I watched that, it was so much like what we had experienced.
Yeah.
That I thought, you know what, it may be a niche market to make a cartoon about McDonald's crew members.
Yeah.
But if anybody else that ever worked at McDonald's watches this, they should be able to... it should resonate with them. They should be able to relate to that.
I think anywhere, like any fast food place, it would be similar enough. Like they
should be somewhat,
close. Yeah.
And the thing I hope is that, like if nothing else, if there's no audience for the crew, that's fine. But at the very least, it'll be a cartoon for our friends who work with us to watch.
Yeah.
And it'll be practice for little bastards. Who are these two guys on the right hand side? That's Josh and Leo when they were younger, when they were 8-year-olds. And little bastards, you'll see here in the image I'm showing you, is characters growing up. Very much based like South Park. It's going to be very much like South Park in the animation style. But it's about these 4 kids growing up in Tallaght, in Dublin, on the foot of the mountains, getting up to all kinds of shenanigans. And that was an idea we came up with while we were formulating the crew. That was something I really, really, really wanted to make, because the stories we had growing up as kids were probably even funnier.
So once we get the crew done at some point.
Once we get episode 1.
Yeah, just get episode 1 done, and then we're on the roll.
That's it. But so the crew. So that's what the crew is. Now, Red Balloon Films, what we're going to be doing, guys, is we're going to try and get more and more content out more and more regularly. And that content is going to be on Fridays. We're going to have these 15-minute segments, which will be behind-the-scenes footage. We'll talk about the upcoming episode. We'll answer questions. We'll talk about the animation process, the drawing process, the writing process. But also we can talk about any future ideas. And again, if you tweet in any tweets or send in any messages on Facebook, we'll be able to answer those questions as well. Beyond that, though, we are going to be doing a Saturday morning drawing, where I'll be doing sketches on Saturday morning, which will be determined by the Wheel of Fate, right? And what that is, it's going to be random, things mixed with random contexts that then I will have to sketch out within 11-minute countdown, which will be very rough sketches, but I'll draw them. You can send in your drawings of the same thing, and I will then show them in either on that episode or in the next episode. I'll be able to show your 11-second drawings of that same thing, and we can have really good fun doing that. And if nothing else, it'll help me, it'll help anybody else watching just get better at drawing, because it's practice. So Friday live streams of behind the scenes, Saturday morning drawing. We'll obviously have the episodes of the crew, and we'll have Tales of Terror, which are going to be short 20 to 30 second animations based on kind of gruesome, gory, scary tales and moments, which will probably be quicker to make, and we'll hopefully get some of them up really, really quickly as well.
Yeah, that'd be good just to have them in between the episodes
Yes,
we do.
absolutely.
Stuff going up, yeah.
Even just once a month, we get like a 30-second skit up there. Would be really good. And then also we will have tutorials. So I'll be putting up Photoshop tutorials, After Effects tutorials, and 3D animation software Maya tutorials. So if you have any questions about Photoshop, any questions about the animation process through either After Effects or Maya, then you can send them in or tweet them in, or Facebook message, and we will answer those questions. I will do tutorials on those things. And one of the tutorials I'm going to do that was going to be creating a cartoon from start to finish, the basics. And that will be creating a very simple 10-second animation from start to finish, from nothing to having it finished. That includes the sketching of the characters, the idea, the design, the building of the assets in Photoshop, the importing of the assets into After Effects, animating with those assets, creating the dialogue, creating the sound effects, putting music in if necessary, and then rendering out that 10-second animation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that about 3 or 4 times. The first one will be a basic 10-second one. We'll then do maybe a more advanced animation that's 20 seconds long. And then we'll do a really advanced animation with multiple characters. But from start to finish. So the basic animation tutorial will probably be in 20 parts.
Yeah.
Right? We'll do quick 5 to 10 minute videos on each part. And when they're all finished, you will have a full guide on how to make an animation using
Cool.
pen and paper, Photoshop, After Effects, and then rendering it out on your computer.
Yeah. Cool.
So we'll do that. But guys, I want to just thank everybody for joining us for the very first recording. And it says live stream there, and we will be doing live streams soon. But the very first recording of our behind the scenes, and just to talk about kind of what is Red Balloon Films, what is the crew. If you guys have any questions, please send them in, and we will be discussing them next Friday. But thanks very much. Chat to you soon.